Morning Sam, woodwork man here. I'm just on about before on the other videos we're going to clean the drawer bottoms up. So we're going to use what we call a cabinet scraper. I don't know whether you've seen one of those. It looks very much like a spoke shave. But what it is, it's got a flat blade in there. We're just going to take the blade out, loosen those two screws there, and how it works. There's a little edge on there, we file an edge on there at 60 degrees and then put a slight burr on the back using a screwdriver. It looks quite brutal actually, but it's actually that burr when it's in there that gives the wood a nice finish. So I'm going to put that in the vise and we'll sharpen it up, and I'll show you how we do that and how we can use this tool to get a nice finish on those drawer bottoms. Right, I'm going to put this in the vise then. Bearing in mind we're going to put a 60-degree angle. What we do, an ordinary file, just round about 60 degrees, 2 or 3 passes, like that, with your file. I mean, we're not dead on 60, but you know what I mean, it's that sort of an idea. And then when we've done that, we'll just take the screwdriver and get the metal of the screwdriver and just go like this. Looks like we're really taking the edge off that and a waste of time sharpening it. But what it is, it's that burr on the back, you can almost feel it. Now we've got that nicely, that's all we need, and we'll put that back in the scraper and I'll demonstrate how we use it. Okay, see you later. So we've got our scraper with the burr on the back. Now when we put it back in the cabinet scraper, always make sure that burred side, you can feel it, is pointing away from us. And we need to just drop that in there and keep it on a flat surface so that when we know that blade's in there and it's nice and flat, and then we just tighten up the screws and job done. Simple as that. Come to use the cabinet scraper now. We're going to clean up these piranha pine drawer bottoms we've been making, and we always want to use a cabinet scraper. A lot of people would probably just take the sandpaper to it now, the sander, but that's not the way forward for a craftsman. I mean, to me sandpaper belongs in the bottom of a bird cage, and I was taught very first when I was doing my time, always taught to use a cabinet scraper. And one of the very first jobs I had to do it, miles and miles of this stuff, and all we do, we showed you how to sharpen this the other day. We've got a little thumb screw on the back of this cabinet scraper. You can probably just see it there, and that thumb screw just tightens onto the blade and it just starts to tension the blade, pushing it out. The more we turn that, the deeper the cut. So we don't want it too much, but we just try it, and you can see how we use that at a 45-degree angle, roughly. Not straight like that, but just at a 45-degree angle. And we just nice and gently push it across, away from your body, and you gradually start to see a nice silky finish come on the wood. So you can see now I've been at it probably about 5 minutes or so, but we've cleaned that up quite nicely now. It's nice and smooth. In fact, the way to tell is if we hold it up to the light, and we'll be able to see. In fact, I'll do that. I'll just swap the camera and hold it up to the light for you. Now look, you see that how the light's hitting it now. It looks like silk, and if you could touch that yourself, you know, you'd say, wow, that's a real smooth finish on there. Bearing in mind we've got no sanding, sealer, no polish or anything yet. So yeah, that's coming on nicely. We'll turn over, have a look at the other side, and we'll come back, show you how we're going to tackle those grooves as well. Now there, just a tip there, you can probably just hear that scraping quite nicely there, but when I get to the end, it's just sort of tearing a little bit. All that means we're going against the grain, so we just need to turn it round and just get on that on the right way And there we go. It's pulling that up nicely now. Look at the finish on that again already. Now if we go the other way, we'll just show you on that, and it's ripping it, you can feel. So turn it round, clean your scraper, and don't press on hard, but just take your time. And that bit now, beautiful. Right, okay, we've done the same on this side. Obviously all the flat surface has been scraped, but then we're left with this problem with the grooves. Now I suppose the majority would probably think, well, bit of sandpaper and get my finger in there, or they might wrap it around a bit of doweling or whatever and think, yeah, that'll do the trick. But really, I hate the stuff. You know, all you're going to do with that, if you use sandpaper in there, you're going to take this sharp corner off what we've made with the router bit, and it's just all going to start blending together. So the way to do it, a nice tip, just got a half inch gouge here, what we use on the lathe, the wood turning gouge, and I've just ground that bevel to the same sort of shape as that. And then also I've put a bit of paper towel and tape around that, because how we're going to use this is like this. I'll demonstrate in a minute, but if we're pressing on that for a few hours and we're just pressing onto the two edges of that flute in that ground, we're just going to end up with a, you know, nice couple of grooves in this finger, and it's going to start hurting. So all that's for is just a bit of comfort. You can use a bit of rag, whatever you want. But the idea is, again, it's similar to the scraper, but we just want to lay that in the groove and just pull it backwards and forwards and polish that groove up. We don't want to bite the edge into the groove, otherwise we're going to start chipping at the groove, and we don't want to come up to the end of the groove and flick it up, else we're going to start flicking bits off the end of the groove and again lose the shape. But if we just get all we do, and you see that little on the end of there, we've got that nice little bevel, and that's just scraping that groove and polishing it up nicely. But the most important thing, we're keeping these nice sharp edges to give the character and the definition that we want of the two surfaces. You've got the nice flat surface going into the concave groove there, and then we go up so far, turn it round, come from this end again, just polish that up nicely, and you can hear it. And if you feel in there, if you could feel that now, you think, yeah, that's great. It's just the same as that, and we've got a nice sharp edge. So forget the sandpaper, try and do it a craftsman's way. Don't take much doing really, because you've got the shape from the router cutter, but we're just cleaning it up to take any imperfections away. But we're not losing that sharp corner off the detail there, because once you start doing that, it's just going to start to look a bit of a mess and not professional at all. But come to the end of all these, finishing off all these grooves with the gouge, and we've done all the scraping. By now you'll probably find you've got a handful or a bucket full of shavings off all the scraping you've been doing. We don't want to chuck those away. There's a good tip that we can use these for, better than any sandpaper, any wire wool or anything like that. If we just get a good handful of these, just like that, and then polish them onto the wood, pressing quite firmly, but just pushing it into all the grooves, up and down along the grain. And what that'll do, it'll transfer all the oils from these shavings back into the wood, and it'll put a nice surface, a nice polish, a silky smooth finish onto the wood, ready for when we come to do the polish. What we'll do next, once we've done this, is polish these up. We'll talk about that in another video, and we'll get on with making the sides of the drawers. So Smiling Sam, the woodwork man, if you want to give me a thumbs up, any likes and subscribes, you're most welcome. You can always comment and ask me any questions, and I'll catch you next time.